Ever wonder if there's one particular dish that's common to most world cultures? Well, there is. In Poland, they call it pierogi. In China, jiaozi, or wonton. In Japan, they've got pot stickers. Ukrainians enjoy vareniki, the Jews kreplach, Koreans mandu. While up in Siberia, babushkas still stash pelimeni, or however you say it, and banks of snow for winter storage. And Italy has ravioli. I am, of course, speaking of filled or noodle dumplings. Now, there are a lot of people who believe that Marco Polo first brought noodles from China to Venice around 1295. But how does that explain the fact that Romans had been enjoying these for about 200 years at that point? What's my point? Simply that some ideas just happen spontaneously, especially great ideas. And by the Middle Ages, the filled dumpling was simply an idea whose time had come. Today, it's an idea that's come to your kitchen and to Good Eats. Oh, bother.
Good Eats.
Since this is only a half-hour show, we're going to have to bypass some of the lesser-known varieties of filled noodle and stick with those Americans love best, like ravioli, which is not made from the same kind of pasta as extruded pastas like this spaghetti. This is made from nothing but water and a high-protein flour called semolina, which is milled from a particular kind of wheat called durum. The resulting dough is so tough that in the days back before industrial three-phase mixers, it required hours of kneading by foot. Filled pastas are based on fresh pasta, which contains fat in the form of eggs and oil, and it is a lot easier on your feet. And if you stick to traditional methods, it's pretty easy on the dishwasher, too. Oh, enough of that. This is 2 large eggs beat with 3 tablespoons of water, half a teaspoon of salt, and a teaspoon of olive oil. This is a big old pile of all-purpose flour, about 3 cups, but you don't have to be too picky about it right now. Here's why. We're gonna make a bowl out of the flour instead of putting the flour into the bowl. So you just make yourself a little kind of a volcano crater in the middle and make sure that it's pretty stable around the sides. And we're gonna pour in just a small amount of the egg mixture. Just use 2 fingers and slowly spin that egg mixture around. Use your other hand to support the wall while slowly kind of pushing it in towards the middle. Antiquated though it may be, I love this method because you never work too much or too little flour into the mixture. The dough simply takes what it needs. Now, if you really can't stand playing with your food, you can do this with your food processor, but I, for one, would call you a sissy. Now, as soon as it comes together into a firm paste like this, wrap in plastic wrap, flatten into a disc, and refrigerate for at least an hour to let it rest. Sure, yeah, it does look a little ooey and gooey for a dough, but you can always add flour when you roll it out. And remember, a lot can happen in here in an hour. Given some time, the flour particles will hydrate or soak up the surrounding moisture. This will make the dough strong, flexible, and rollable. Just don't try to rush the process. Give it an hour, and your patience will be rewarded. Now, speaking of rolling, meet the original pasta machine. Still the choice of purists and Italians everywhere. It features no moving parts, so it's pretty light on maintenance, but it can be pretty heavy on the old arms. Now, since I am not a purist, and I'm certainly not Italian, I prefer the mechanized version, if you get my drift. The average home pasta machine is very efficient, produces perfect little sheets of pasta. You just drop the dough right in between these rollers and give the crank it.
Although all manual pasta rollers are based on the same design, there are details worth noting. This knob changes the space between the rollers. Since most pasta recipes ask for those of specific thickness, you want this to be clearly indexed. Most machines come with a set of cutters that turn sheets into ribbons. For ease of use, look for a machine with a removable cutter. And since pasta becomes hard to manage to longer guests, look for the widest machine you can find. There's nothing better for cleaning than a pastry brush. And last but not least, look for a model that has an optional motor. You may not want to make the investment up front, but if you make a lot of noodles, you will eventually. Oh, and by the way, My people were making filled noodles when Rome was just a mule stop on the Tiber.
I know that, W, but that is another show.
Oh, really? Well then, arrivederci.
Hey, no, give me that handle. Hey, come on, this isn't funny anymore. You know, if a pasta machine's going to do you any good at all, you've got to be able to securely anchor it on a piece of counter that leaves you plenty of working room on either side of the machine. There's got to be a better way. An ironing board will provide the perfect pasta rolling platform. Now, it's easy to attach things to ironing boards because they make them out of perforated metal to keep the weight down. So all you have to do is find a couple of holes, take a nice pick, and heck, it's only a $10 ironing board cover. Small sacrifice to make for perfect pasta. You only need some kind of bracket. Bracing material from the hardware store. Couple of long screws, and I'll put another piece of bracing on the bottom, and seal that up with a couple of wing nuts. Yeah, that'll do the trick. I just have to work on my Nobel speech. Now, like puff pastry and pie dough, you want to keep pasta dough cool while you work it. So if the weather's suitable, just roll outside. Step 1, remove any arm or finger adornments that the pasta might catch on. Step 2, lightly flour the ironing board. Since it's fabric, it won't take near as much to do the job as it would if you were using a hard surface like a counter. Step 3, using a dough blade or a board scraper or bench scraper, cut the dough into equal portions and kind of shape each one into something that looks like a white candy bar. Then send that through the pasta machine at its widest setting. Now, at this point, we're not shaping the pasta. We're kneading the dough. Fold it over in thirds, kind of like a wallet, turn it 90 degrees, and send it through the machine a second time. This is going to stretch out the gluten formation and make a strong, flexible, stretchable dough. Fold into thirds, turn 90 degrees, and send it through a third and final time. Still at the widest opening. Now, we're ready to actually shape the pasta. So dial to the next size down, number 2, and send it through. Keep reducing the size of the aperture one step at a time and sending through the dough a single time per size until you get up to number 7. Now, once you get to 7, you should have a dough that's the perfect thickness for ravioli and just long enough to reach from one end of the board to the other. Just going to trim up this funny little end here. There. And get a little space to actually fill the dumplings. Now, some folks do this completely freehand, but when I do that, I end up with something that looks like, I don't know, the dumplings of Dr. Kilgari. And that's why I always use a yardstick. What I basically do is just put the yardstick about in the middle and make yourself a little mark, a little indentation, just enough to guide your hand when you're filling. When it comes to the delivery of the filling, I like to go with something really, really small, like a teaspoon, okay? Now, it doesn't seem like a lot, but we've got a very flavorful filling, and that means...
What?
Flavorful filling. The nice thing about ravioli is that you can fill it with just about anything that won't give off liquid. Added liquid would be bad. And since you only get a little bitty bit of the filling with every bite, we want to make sure that the filling is really, really flavorful. And so, what do you know? Leftover Good Eats meatloaf mix. That'll be perfect. Of course, we might want to add a little extra flavor. Of course, I suppose this could use a little bit of spicing up, so we'll grate up some of this cheese, Parmesan. You could use Romano. And you know what? I think a little vinegar would be nice, say balsamic vinegar. And we need an herb, oregano. Oregano will do very, very nicely indeed. Perfect. Now let's just stir this together briefly. It's also good to loosen up that mix a bit. There. Now, we'll start laying this out every couple of inches. Any less than 2 inches, and we won't have enough dough around the filling to seal properly. Any more than that would just be silly. By the way, you can use a melon baller to do this if you want to. I just lent mine to a neighbor. There. Now, with all the payloads in place, it's time to close. And for that, we're going to need a little glue. It's not exactly what I had in mind, but it's not far off either. Usually this kind of glue is full of protein from things like horses' hooves. But there's something else that's got a lot of protein in it. An egg. And it makes great glue, but it's kind of hard to apply like this. So we will stir it up with a little bit of water and end up with the protein paint known far and wide as an egg wash. Of course, to apply it, we'll need a tool. I like a roller. Your basic foam trim roller available at just about every hardware store. We dip to wet, and then we roll. Once, right down the middle. Once, down the outside. And then once, right down the middle. Doesn't take much. In fact, you want to use as little as possible. Now we fold. Now, this is really the most important part of construction because any air that is sealed inside these will expand during cooking, blowing your dumplings to bits. So, close thusly. Move your fingers up, starting at the fold side, and go around each little mound of meat, pushing out towards the open side. There. Make sure you get your fingers right up against the meat. There. I usually get 13 or 14 per strip of pasta, and we've got 2 of these per batch. So that's a total of 26 to 28 dumplings per batch. Not a bad yield. Now, to separate these into individual dumplings, we could use a lot of different tools, but I really do prefer my pizza cutter. The best multitasker of all time. Here we go. Pick up each one and kind of inspect it, just in case you've still got an open end, and seal it with your fingers. Odds are very good. The action of the pressing and the cutting will take care of things, but you want to be sure, because if you've got any openings, well, there's going to be ugliness. Great. To store, just slide the pan straight into the freezer and leave them alone until they're rock hard, about 3 hours. Then you can bag them and tag them. I think I'm going to eat these. Bring at least half a gallon of water to a boil, along with a teaspoon of kosher salt and a shot of oil. Any oil will do. And do not add oil to the water, ever. It just floats on top like an oil slick. It doesn't do any good whatsoever. What does... Okay, oil may not do anything for the pasta, but it does reduce the surface tension of the water, and that helps to prevent foam overs. Okay, so once you've got a boil, add the ravioli, but just add a handful, no more than 10 at a time. More than that, and it'll take too long for the boil to recover. Now, since these are rock hard, it's going to take at least 3 minutes to cook. But hey, they're still a convenience food because you don't have to thaw them. How do you know when they're done? That's how, when they float. So why do they float? Because we got most of the air out of the dumplings, but not all of it. As the air trapped inside the filling expands, the ravioli become buoyant. All you got to do is fish them out, let them drain, and then move them into a bowl with just a little bit of oil. That'll prevent sticking. Now, if you haven't considered a service scenario, now would be the time. Oh, sure, you could slather on some thick, nasty tomato sauce, but you'd really be kind of smothering the flavor inside. So try heating a skillet over medium-high heat. Toss in a pat of butter. When the butter melts and foams, yeah, you let it turn brown. It's going to smell a little nutty. Then toss in the ravioli and let them fry, tossing often, just until they start to turn brown around the edges. Add a little sage, very finely shredded, of course, a little bit of pepper. Grab a fork. Now that's good eats. What? Oh, you're not going to buy a pasta machine. Okay, fine. We just have to back up a little bit. If you plan on rolling this out yourself with a pasta machine, you can stop right now. But if you plan to go it alone, you'll need to continue kneading for 8 to 10 minutes to produce gluten, that protein network we're always going on and on about. Now, since kneading is easier when you can use your body weight, I like a little change in altitude. Now, I can really get over it. Could you do this in a stand mixer like we did our pizza dough? Sure, but the thing I really like about pasta is you can do this without dirtying a single bowl. And yes, I'd rather knead than wash. When the dough is smooth and plastic without being dry, kind of like that, then you are ready to wrap and rest in the refrigerator. Rolling and filling hand-rolled pasta isn't fast, but it is easy if you stick to basic round shapes. Okay, now take one batch of dough and cut it into 4 equal pieces. You can use a dough blade or a knife or heck scissors for this if you feel like it. Good. Now just cover 3 of those with plastic, okay, so they don't dry out. And take the one piece and using your childhood Play-Doh skills, roll it out into a nice long snake, okay? It's a lot easier if you use your middle fingers to apply the pressure, okay? Good. Now keep working that on the counter until it's about 1/2 inch thick. Now if it sticks to the counter, just put some flour down. But if you put down too much flour, it'll slide instead of roll. That would be good. All right, now cut that into 1-inch pieces, okay? It's kind of like making gnocchi, only we're not really making gnocchi. Good. Good. Okay, now just shove all of those over to one side there. And take that one and roll it into a ball. Right, it's kind of like making a marble. There you go. Good. That's enough. All right, now mash it flat. Good. Now we're kind of making the blank that we're going to roll the shape out of. So put down a little bit of flour, not too much. Okay. There. I'm going to roll that out. Oh, whoa, wait a second. That's kind of overkill there. It's like rolling over a frog with a steamroller. What we need here is a wooden dowel, let's say 6 to 8 inches long, 1/2 inch thick. Yeah, what you got? Yeah, that'll work. That'll work. Okay. Now, try to roll with the pressure directly over the disc, okay? And turn it 90 degrees. Roll again. Good, good. Up, see? You didn't have enough flour. Okay. Flip it over and repeat. Good, good. And twist it another 90 degrees. You turned it over. I didn't tell you to... All right, it's no big deal. Okay. Now, you don't want it thicker than about a nickel, okay? Because when we fold it over, it's going to get twice as thick, right? So... Good. That looks good. Now, you could leave it alone, kind of go with the rustic style, but I like to cut mine with a cutter, nice round shape. Good. You can use a biscuit cutter, cookie cutter, whatever. That's a nice round. Good. Okay, you're going to need some filling. You got your filling ready? I like to stay traditional with this and just make a ricotta spinach filling. You're going to need a 1/2 cup of ricotta cheese. Now, you can get that at the dairy section of your local Mega Mart. It's a lot like cottage cheese, only it's got a finer grain and it's much drier, which is important for this. You'll need to add to that 1/4 cup of grated Parmesan cheese, 2 tablespoons of frozen spinach that's been thawed and thoroughly drained, 1 egg, a few grinds of black pepper, and just a little bit of freshly grated nutmeg. Please, not the stuff out of the can, okay? And just mix that together and get ready to fill. Yeah, that looks right. That's good. Whoa, 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 whoa. That's way too much. Okay, it's gonna blow up all over the place. We need a smaller spoon. You got like a 1/4 teaspoon? Yeah, that'll work. Okay, just a little bitty scoop. Very little bit, right in the middle. Good, little dollop. You really do need to practice this. Okay, it's really important that the spinach be dry. Can't emphasize that enough. Now, you're going to need some egg wash to dry to glue that closed. You just put it on 1/2, okay? Because egg wash sticks to dough, not to more egg wash. Okay, roll it over. Good. And be really careful to squish that edge. You want to get the air worked out of the dumpling. Good, good. Now put that over the back of your index finger. Good, good. And kind of push the lip up. There. And then close it on the other side. Hey, you made tortellini. Nice trick. You can cook them or you can freeze them. Well, I hope we've given you the confidence to try your hand at a food which knows no borders, filled dumplings. Our journey may have begun here, the crossroads of Asian Arabian influence. But hey, after you master the basics, you'll be ready to punch out some pierogi, crimp some crepe block, or fold your way through the edible origami of pot stickers. Believe me, no matter where you go on that map, you're going to land on some good eats.